Good afternoon. On behalf of Beauty, it is my honor and pleasure to welcome parents, family, and friends to our second annual Eddiena Schoolfield Oratorical Competition. Mr. Madison presented the idea of an oratorical competition to Beauty in 2020, and we held our first competition in 2021. The competition affords our local high school youth to hone their public speaking skills, increase their knowledge, build confidence, coupled with beneficial incentives. Very shortly, you will share in the excellence and hope of our local youth. Thank you.
Damon Hamby is the pastor of the Mount Vernon Church of Lanark, West Virginia, and a committed servant of the Father of his Lord Jesus Christ. He is a published author, a former business instructor at Mountain State University, and currently the CEO of the Raleigh County Educators Federal Credit Union. A Woodrow Wilson High School graduate, he obtained a bachelor's in business management and a master's in strategic leadership, both from the Mountain State University. Pastor Hamby is known throughout the community for his dynamic oratorical delivery and his commitment to his church, family, and community. Dorothy Wright Reynolds is a retired educator whose calling is to help youth. A Beckley, West Virginia native, she is a graduate of Woodrow Wilson High School, Glenville State College, and Marshall University. While in college, she rose to national acclaim in speaking. Her involvement with supporting and mentoring youth started early in life at St. Matthew AME Church and continued throughout her teaching career. A high school teacher of English and math, she was the sponsor of several school clubs and guided students in ACTSO, YES, HISTA, Upward Bound, and other school programs. Dr. Maurice Byrd is a graduate of Hampton University in Hampton, Virginia, where he received his bachelor's degree in music education. He continued his schooling, completing a master's and a doctorate in education at the University of Illinois. Dr. Byrd was a teacher, grant writer, and school administrator working for more than 30 years in Northern Illinois. His specialty is curriculum development and grants management. He is director of educational activities for the Epsilon Iota Lambda chapter of Alpha Phi Alpha in Suffolk, Virginia. He is married to Sharon Byrd, a retired elementary school teacher, and has two daughters, Crystal, a senior human resources analyst, and Dr. Kimberly Byrd, an executive for Results Lab. He has one granddaughter, Alyssa, and excited about his grandson due in May 2022. His hobbies include reading, music, and working as a volunteer at his church and his local school district in Suffolk, Virginia. Carmelita Smith is a graduate of Marshall University with a Bachelor of Arts in Secondary Education and a Master's of Arts in Counseling. She has been an educator for 26 years, with 19 of those years serving as a school counselor. She has volunteered at church in the clothing closet and in the nursery for Children's Church. She resides in Beckley with her husband Yehan and two energetic sons, Liam and Christian. In serving youth, her constant reminder to them are the words of Pastor Joseph Prince to declare that you are greatly blessed, highly favored, and deeply loved.
Latrell Harrison, the son of Shayla Harrison, is a 10th grader at Shady Spring High School. He participates on the school's basketball, football, and baseball teams. Latrell enjoys fishing and playing drums for churches.
My name is Latrell Harrison. I'm a 16-year-old sophomore that attends Shady Spring High School. General Colin Powell's 13 Rules of Leadership is a collection of lessons and anecdotes that he used to share wisdom during his service with the nation. The rule that stood out to me most is that it can be done. I chose this rule of leadership because I've never been the type of person to quit doing something, especially when leading others to the end. To me, this rule means no matter how many times it takes or how difficult something may be, that it is not impossible. It means that if one way doesn't work, continue to try other ways. Trial and error works, and that it can be done. I will continue to apply this rule by leading people that look up to me, whether it be younger children or other young adults my age, not to quit, and that it can always be done.
Mama Sirleaf, the daughter of Farmer Sirleaf, is a senior at Independence High School. She is presently taking AP Government and plans to further her education in nursing upon graduation.
Hi, my name is Mema Salif, and today I'm going to do a little speech on It Can Be Done. It can be done is a belief that I've held dear to my heart all my life. I was born in West Africa, and I've lived there until I was 15 years old. I dream of coming to the United States and achieving my career goals of becoming a nurse. I never would allow doubts to creep into my mind. I've held fast to the principle that it can be done. When I came to the United States, my language, as you can imagine, was very different from my peers. I could not fully understand their dialect, and they could not understand mine. I was also surrounded by slang that seems like a whole another language that I've had to learn. I had no idea how hard it would be to learn how to communicate with others. I practiced on my dialect by being with friends and copying how they pronounce the words. When I think about the leadership principle of it can be done, my parents come to my mind. They wanted to provide a brighter future for my sister and me. My parents faced many obstacles when leaving their homes and traveling across the globe, including living with families for 2 years because they were jobless. I used this philosophy of it can be done at my after school job. I started part-time 3 years ago, and I was determined to be the manager this year. I was promoted to manager. I wanted to take dual credit classes my senior year. I knew that it would be difficult to take these college classes and maintain my job, but I knew I could do it. Having a job as a manager, taking college classes, and my high school classes is a challenge, but I did it. I believe that I will be a nurse, and there's no doubt in my mind. I know that college will be challenging, but it can and will be done. Thank you.
Jessica Berry, the daughter of Rosalind Berry, is a 10th grader at Woodrow Wilson High School. She's a member of the school's color guard and choir. Jessica is also enrolled in the following honors classes: English, Biology, U.S. History, and AP World History.
Hi. I'm sure almost everyone has heard something along the lines of, it ain't as bad as you think, it'll look better by the morning or tomorrow. Whether that be maybe a test you took and you weren't really confident about it and got a terrible grade and you just didn't feel like talking about it, you were just bummed out. Or maybe there was homework that you didn't feel like doing or just didn't understand, and you're like, I'll just put it off later. Or maybe just nothing was wrong, and somebody comes up to you and they're like, hey, what's wrong? What's going on? And you're like, nothing, just same old, I'm just tired. And that person insists on figuring out what the problem is, and you reassure them, it's nothing, I'm fine. And they're like, well, whatever it is that you aren't telling me, I'm sure it'll look better by tomorrow. And you respond with a thanks. If that has happened to you, well, it's happened to me. So hi, my name is Jessica Berry, and I'll be talking about the first rule out of the 13 rules of leadership by Colin Powell. This rule, for me at least, is most commonly used or said when somebody doesn't know how to respond or to talk to me. Or it's always something along the lines of that rule. The phrase kind of sounds like a type of response you'd give when you don't know what to say or should say. And that phrase has been said to me mainly by older people. The majority of the older people will come over and share their opinions or thoughts about how I'm feeling. Or tell me just because it doesn't look good right now, it won't look better tomorrow. And I think of it, or I thought of it as a way of them telling me, like, hey, you should stop complaining about whatever you're going through because it's not that big of a deal. Or, hey, you complaining about this, you shouldn't worry because I've lived through a lot of stuff myself and I've seen firsthand how that's been. Or just in general, they're putting down my experiences as a teenager, since they've already been a teenager and they've gone through what I've gone through these following years or past years or current, that it makes it irrelevant because somebody else has already done it. They've done it. And I really don't like that. And I'm sure let me state, I don't want to be rude or come off as rude by putting down the older generations or older people's experiences. Because yes, they've experienced their teenage years, but they haven't experienced it with COVID or with the type of work or just any situation that I'm or fellow young people are dealing with. And I don't see it as fair for them to, or just people in general, I shouldn't just base it on them or point the blame at them, but people in general to put down other people's experiences, because you never know what's going on with anyone. But I'm sure COVID this year and the past years has been something everyone can kind of agree on that has been a struggle. So I think that's something you could also put in perspective, to not just put down somebody else's experiences because you're also going through the exact same thing, if that is the situation that they're dwelling on right now. I would like this rule to sound way more positive and like encouraging than it sounded to me when I was younger or currently now. When it was said to me, like I said before, it was more of like older people telling me, don't complain about that. I've done it. You're going to do it. You'll be fine. But for other people, it might have been a positive thing, like, oh, okay, I see. Since you've done it, then I should be fine. I'll do fine later. It won't be as bad tomorrow. Instead of using instead of using it as a type of icebreaker, I suggest that maybe we get to know the person that we're even talking about and give them advice if there's advice to be given. If not, just leave it alone. Most people need listeners anyway. And if we could take time to listen and just reel in what they've said, process what they've said, I think that would be way better. Like, think of it as in the eyes of a leader. If I'm a leader and I'm leading this group of people and they're obviously the followers, I, as a leader, should be able to talk to them, to speak with authority, to be the leader they need to look up to. And I couldn't do that if I didn't know how to help them in any way. And even if I don't know how to help them, I should be able to consult them or help them in some type of way if there's help necessary. But yeah, putting it in that perspective, I think it might have made it easier. But I think maybe the older people or older generation knew what they were talking about because they've experienced it. And we should probably put that in perspective too, that just because they've done something doesn't mean it's going to be the same way. But we can look forward and say, well, if they've done it and they're still here, hey, it must have gotten better for them. So why would that stop it being better for us? I hope you enjoyed. Once again, my name is Jessica Berry, and thank you for listening.
Tylee Asamoah, the daughter of Constantine and Cindy Asamoah, is a 10th grader at Woodrow Wilson High School. She is a member of the school's speech and debate club and several other student organizations. Tylee also participated in the National Academy of Future Physicians and Scientists.
Leadership is all about people. It is not about organizations. It is not about plans. It is not about strategies. It is all about people motivating people to get the job done. You have to be people-centered. These are the wise words of General Colin Powell, an African-American diplomat, United States officer, politician, and the first African-American to serve as Secretary of State. Of all, Powell was a leader whose dynamic policies inspired many, including myself, and even shaped former President George H.W. Bush's philosophy through one of his principles known as the Powell Doctrine. Leadership is and has always been crucial to create an effective change in society, especially towards the Black community throughout the years. Through his 13 rules of leadership, Powell constructively delineates and guides us on how to be an exceptional leader. Of these 13 rules, I feel the rules that have the greatest effect are: perpetual optimism is a force multiplier, have a vision, be demanding, and it can be done. These rules powerfully exemplify the notion of a leader. Perpetual optimism is a force multiplier. It can be difficult to remain optimistic after discouraging obstacles come your way in your path to success. Historically, potent leaders have always been driven by everlasting hope, even when it seems there are discouraging obstacles on their path to creating a successful change. After escaping slavery in 1838 and residing in the North, Frederick Douglass continued to fight against human bondage towards African Americans in the United States through his captivating, copious writings and speeches. In his 1845 autobiography, Narrative of the Life of Frederick Douglass, an American Slave, Douglass hoped to bring the awareness of the horrors of slavery to a wider audience. Even after publication of the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863, Douglass continued to fight for the right to vote for the formerly enslaved despite countless physical attacks by those who opposed the abolitionist movement. One particular attack occurred in Pendleton, Indiana, in which Douglass's hand was broken and resulted in him never regaining full use of his hand. Douglass continued to fight and inspired many to continue to fight for the rights of African Americans. Even after being beaten, thrown in jail, receiving numerous death threats, and many more, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. proceeded to work hard to bring greater equality to the United States. His demanding work alongside many other civil rights activists led to the establishment of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which outlaws any discrimination based on race, religion, sex, and national origin. Both Douglass and King motivated others through their compelling optimism, intellectual, arduous work, and helped create enriched change in the world. Their everlasting hope for the achievement of human rights for all drove them to continue to fight, even if it came with brutal attacks. Have a vision, be demanding. Having a clear image is essential in leadership, as it establishes what is truly desired. This vision will bring guidance and optimism in accomplishing what you wish. It also manifests morals, purpose, and beliefs, which will ultimately shape the type of leader you will become. In his I Have a Dream speech, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. clearly expressed his future visions for America, stating that he had a dream that his 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. His vision was demanding through countless speeches and protests, and was made possible by the 1964 Civil Rights Act and the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which outlawed discriminatory voting implementations used after the Civil War. W.E.B. Du Bois envisioned that social change could be mastered through protest and agitation. This led him to becoming one of the founders of the notorious National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. This infamous and successful organization played a key role in overcoming segregation through the Brown v. Board of Education court case, in which the Supreme Court outlawed segregation. Visualization used by these Black leaders increased motivation and brought a greater demand in accomplishing their desires. It can be done. Although this is a short statement, it holds immense value. When trying to achieve a wish, we are often accompanied with discouragement and hesitation, which can be exceedingly difficult to overcome. After learning flight stories of pilots returning home after World War I, Bessie Coleman quickly became inspired by the art of flying. She decided to work a second job so she could be successful in pursuing her dream of becoming a pilot. Unfortunately, during this time, American flight schools did not allow Black individuals or women into their schools. This did not stop Coleman from chasing her dreams. One casual day, Bessie's older brother, John, who served as a soldier in France during World War I, said, "I know something French women do that you'll never do. Fly." This comment prompted Bessie to travel to France and learn the language. On June 15, 1921, she graduated from the Fédération Aéronautique Internationale, making her the first African-American woman to receive a pilot's license. Upon returning to the United States in September 1922, Coleman had the utmost goal of instituting a flying school for African Americans. Sadly, before she could reach this goal, she tragically passed from airplane turbulence. Bessie's courage and perseverance, despite racial and gender barriers, serve as an example and an inspiration to many, including the Tuskegee Airman and NASA astronaut Dr. Mae Jemison. Pursuing desires will always come with barriers. But just like Bessie Coleman, you must persevere and believe it can be done. General Colin Powell's valuable 13 Rules of Leadership not only serve as an example to future leaders, but are also seen in the leadership of many past leaders. Of these rules, these 3 rules were commonly used by notable leaders who brought immense and beneficial change to the world. These 3 rules also give encouragement and immediate answers to the problems faced in being a leader. Having confidence in oneself boosts desire in what needs to be accomplished. Visualization allows one to become stronger in their goals and progress in their desire. Encouragement, self-discipline, perseverance, and ambition solidify the idea that it can be done. In becoming a leader, I'll apply these rules by keeping a perspective of situations and boosting my confidence by believing it can be done. By applying these rules to life, I am sure to be a triumphant leader. Thank you.
Michael Spain, the son of Elena Hurley and Michael Spain Sr., is an 11th grader at Woodrow Wilson High School. He is presently enrolled in AP English and AP European History. Michael is a member of the Beckley Youth Council.
This is Michael Spain. Subject, Beauty Oratorical Competition. The multiplicand times the multiplier equals a product of advocacy. What significance lies within this assertion? It is what I consider to be an equation of leadership. It is what I consider to be the cause and the effect. There are 3 components to a multiplication problem. The multiplicand is the number that is already given. The multiplier is any quantity of number multiplied to the multiplicand. And the final component is the outcome known as the product. In the case of leadership, an individual may possess the determination to lead. What does this individual do with a blazing fervor of determination? That is where the multiplier plays a crucially pivotal role in the leadership equation. Any strategic measure that an individual proceeds with ultimately and inevitably determines their range of support. In other words, a product of advocacy. There is one of Colin Powell's 13 sayings of leadership that I am empathetically impelled to elaborate on. Colin Powell's 10th saying states, "To remain calm and be kind." Truly am I fond of this saying. This saying is essential to my equation of leadership. Not only do I remain calm and kind for my personal and moral obligation, I do so because it is reciprocated. For example, after my Christmas break of 2020 ended, my usual bus driver was replaced with a new bus driver. As I boarded the bus, greeting the new bus driver for the first time, I said, "Good morning, sir." When I arrived at school, leaving from the bus, I said, "Have a good day, sir." Although I knew nothing of this new bus driver. I understood that he is human. Despite having no familiarity with this bus driver, I understood that the driver is getting me from point A to point B. Because the driver is getting me from point A to point B, I understood that I am on equal footing with the bus driver. Because of this understanding and my kindness, the kindness was reciprocated. As of now, the bus driver and I greet each other in the mornings as well as in the afternoons. Moreover, not only has this kindness been reciprocated, but I have seen this kindness cause a domino effect. Whenever fellow passengers leave from the bus in the afternoons, the bus driver says, "Have a good day." Another example of this domino effect is when I walk home with my fellow peers. To spark discussion, I have always asked, "Did you all have a nice day today?" Not only do my peers ask me about my day, but my peers ask each other about their day. Universally agreed upon, the idea of remaining calm to be an effective leader may possibly be, but the idea of a kind leader has been heavily and critically challenged, especially by the philosophies of Machiavelli and Sun Tzu. The kindness of a leader may be taken for granted by the so-called followers. The so-called followers may presume a leader as a passive pathway towards supreme permissiveness. As a result, the pillars of efficacy are poorly fragile. So I wish not to dismiss the meaningful philosophies of Machiavelli and Sun Tzu. However, at the same time, a person of affable altruism and an individual who performs even the most simplest gestures can generate a great product of advocacy.
My name is Carla Austin. On behalf of Beauty, we would like to thank the parents and students for participating in our oratorical contest.
Hello, my name is Eddiena L. Schoolfield, and it's my honor and privilege to present the winners of the Eddiena L. Schoolfield Oratorical competition. The third place winner is Maymar Sirleaf. Second place winner is Michael Spain. The winner is Tylee Asamoah. Congratulations to each of our participants. The third place winner will receive $150. The second place winner will receive $300, and our winner will receive a laptop. Congratulations again.
Let us pray. Eternal God, be our refuge and continue to protect us as we come to the close of this, our second oratorical contest, sponsored by Beauty. We ask you, dear Father, continue to bless and shield these participants as they continue their educational pursuits. We ask your continued blessings for our Beauty organization and its endeavors. Now unto him that is able to keep you from falling and to present you faultless before the presence of his glory with exceeding joy, to the only wise God, our Savior, be glory and majesty, dominion and power, both now and ever. Amen.